Hey everybody, I'm Brent Harvey with A-Hole Productions, and today is Failure Friday. That's right, it's the day where we talk about our failures and what we learned from them and how we grew from them. Today I want to talk about red flags. Now, I love creating things. I get very passionate about collaborating with people and building something. And when somebody else is excited, I get excited. And I just love the energy in and around making projects. I had a project a few years ago that somebody brought to me the idea. And we started developing it together. And we ended up turning it into a short film and releasing it. However, from the get-go, I saw a lot of red flags. I saw the way they would talk about money. They were worried about, when this thing makes money, we need to draw up a contract of how much we're gonna get. And then I ended up hiring somebody to help me do a Kickstarter campaign. And this person mentioned, oh, if you guys do this right, you'll make 3-4 times the amount of money that in raising money that you initially needed. This person also demanded that they be paid to be in the film, even though a lot of the actors in the film who had nothing to do with the film other than they just, we cast them and they were very passionate about it and loved the topic of it, demanded to be paid for it even though we had no money. It was a lot of them expecting me to carry the weight, and I take responsibility for that. I mean, I allowed it to happen. However, the red flags were there from the day one. I just allowed myself to get wrapped up and go, well, once we get to this stage, it'll get better. Once we get past this, everything's going to be fine. It got worse and worse and worse, and it just became worse, and it became a poisonous thing. And I don't necessarily regret doing it because it was an amazing experience. I learned so much from it about myself, about storytelling, about the writing process of characters. And it was the biggest budget film I'd done up until that point. So I had a lot of weight on my shoulders with that, the moving parts, the people. But my point to all this, the failure was not paying attention to the red flags. And I see it with a lot of my students and people I mentor, where they're like, oh, I'm going to work on a project with this person, and they're not showing up, or we keep saying I'm going to write this, they're going to write that, and they won't write their part, or they want me to I came in as an actor and a producer, but they want me to do all this other stuff. Now, it comes in all forms of fashion. You have to pay attention to the red flags because nothing changes. Like when you're dealing with people at the beginning and you start, and I mean, this happens in dating. A lot of people date people, and then they end up breaking up, and they're like, I knew from the very day one they said this thing, and and I knew that it was something in around this was an issue and was going to create a rift in our relationship. We have a tendency as human beings, but especially artists, we tend to put that stuff to the side because we want the project to be successful, or it sounds like fun or whatever. And what I say now is let it go. Like, if you're going to do a partnership, write all the agreement out firsthand. But if you see it's a very one-sided thing, move on. Like, create a new idea, or create a new type of form of that idea that you have on your own. Be the quarterback. Because in the end, there's been, and this is just one, but there's been many projects that I've started on in partnerships with people. And I'm not trying to discourage partnerships, because there's great partnerships out there. What I'm trying to say is pay attention to the red flags. There's been multiple projects where a lot of red flags, and I kept pushing through, and I was like, well, we'll just get to the end. And the unfortunate thing is, you get to the end, even if you get a finished product, you can't do anything with it, because if they try to move forward with it, because it's a 50-50, you can stop it. If you try to move forward with it, they stop it. So I just say be cautious with partnerships. Like, make sure it's a big communication thing. Be honest with each other. This is what each person's role is and all that other stuff. However, what I'm saying is, like, pay attention to the red flags. If I would have paid attention to the red flags, I'm not saying I wouldn't have followed through with the project, but I would have addressed those issues from moment to moment and sat down and said, hey, this is where I'm at with this, and this is what I do now. When I see that things aren't going, it seems like we're assuming things, or they're like, well, this is the way things should happen, or this is what it's going to be, and that's not what we talked about, not what we agreed upon. I address it right then and there. I don't ignore it and say, well, whatever, they're having a bad day, or I don't know what they're talking about, I'm going to do this thing. It just gets worse and worse and worse. So address the issues from the get-go. Otherwise, you're going to put a lot of time, money, energy, and heart into something and end up having your heart broken. So pay attention to the red flags. And if there are no red flags, don't necessarily go looking for them. Just find a great partner, whatever you're doing, if you can. But pay attention to the red flags and address them right then and there, and it will be such an easier journey. And if you address them and you find that you guys aren't on the same page, then it's okay to walk away. Start fresh. Don't force anything. As like Bruce Lee says, be like water. If water comes up to a rock in the river, it doesn't try to move it. It just moves past it and just keeps flowing. Cool. So think about that. If you're in the middle of a project, be willing to walk away. Be willing to walk away, and don't feel like you're like, well, I'm already in too deep and I'm too invested. You can never be too invested to walk away if it's not a healthy situation. Okay, that's it. That's all I'm going to say for now. So until next time, I'm Brent Harvey with A-Hole Productions. And remember, here at A-Hole, we are destined and driven and whatever to inspire others in the global community to follow their dreams, to do great things, and to share it with others, to inspire others as well. So if you like this video, if you think it's beneficial to anybody else, please share it, get it out there, help us make change in the world, and like it. As also leave comments, questions, concerns, anything like that. We'd love to address that. Or you might ask a question nobody has asked yet, or they want to ask. All right, so until next time, I'll stay A-hole and you stay awesome.